17, I think it is. All right. Today we're doing the decimals section, and as you know, the fractions and the decimals on your exam are going to be mixed together. So it does go very closely with what we were doing yesterday. So it says give the value of the 7 in the following. This is talking about the place value. So in A, the 7 is in what we call the tenths position, not tens, tenths, with a little th on the end of it. This is the tenths, hundredths, and then thousandths, okay, when you're after the decimal place. So if we're in the tenths position for the 7, it just means that we want to write that as 7 over 10, and that would be the value of that 7. Anything in front of the decimal places though, so it's B and you have D down here as well, they're your units or ones, tens, hundreds, thousands positions. So this 7 is just in the units position, so it would just have a value of 7 or 7 ones, but 7 is its value. Okay. Question 2 says to add 6 tenths to each of the following. Now 6 tenths, you could either write that as 6 over 10 or 0.6. Okay, it wouldn't matter, they're the same thing. One's just the decimal form, one's the fraction form. And you just want to add that to each of those numbers here. So I would just go plus 0.6, or the fraction if you prefer. And then you could do that, actually you don't even need a calculator for that, but you could just type that into your calculator or do it in your head to get 4.78. Okay. Question 3, put a greater than symbol, and just above that, I'm going to draw a greater than symbol. Greater than goes that way, or a less than symbol. Less than goes that way, between each of the following pairs of numbers to show the correct relationship. So 23.8 and 2.38. The 23 is bigger, so it is greater than, which means I want to put the greater than symbol in there. The other little tip to help you remember that is that the arrow, the pointy part, points towards the smaller number, always. So it points towards the smaller one, or the big open side is trying to eat the big one. Okay, different things to help you remember it. Question 4 I was going to leave for you because we did one of those in our last test. So you just want to put that in order from smallest to largest. So I think you guys could remember that one. So I'll leave that for you. Question 5. Write the following decimals as fractions. And it says there without simplifying. So this is using the place value to help us do that. So the 3 is in the tenths position again. So you just write that as 3 over 10 and not even worry about trying to simplify it. That one wouldn't simplify anyway. These other ones down here would, but you're welcome to just leave that as 6 over 10. Don't simplify it. What would that one be? 24 over 100, because you look at the smallest number here, which is in the hundredths position, so you put it over 100, 24 over 100. But then in question 6, it wants us to do the same thing, but to then simplify it as well. Okay, so I've chosen one of the bigger ones down the bottom, so 0.76 would be 76 over 100, because the 6 was in the hundredths position. And then you would use your calculator to simplify that down. You just type in 76 over 100 and it is 19 over 25. Technically, you could have done that question from the very beginning, all on your calculator. All you would need to do is type the decimal in, 0.76, and press equals. And if you want your calculator to turn something into a fraction for you, what do you press? SD, so just press the SD button and it does everything. Okay, so that's an option as well. Question 7, write the following as mixed numerals. Simplify the fraction part. Okay, so they're mixed numerals because we have numbers in front of the decimal place. So the one out the front will be the number in front of my mixed numeral. It'll be 1 and the 2 is in the tenths position. So it would be 2/10. But I just want to make sure I simplify that fraction. What does 2/10 simplify to? Divide top and bottom by 2. 1/5. So it would be 1 1/5. Again, you could do all of that on your calculator. You type in 1.2, press equals, press the SD for an improper, but we don't want improper. What do we want? Mixed numeral. What do I press? Good. Shift SD, and there's the mixed numeral. Simplified. Done for you. Question 8. Rounding the following numbers to the nearest tenth. The tenth is 1 decimal place, right? Tenth, we call that, the 4 would be my tenth. That means I want to keep that decimal place and round anything off that is after it. So the next number afterwards, we call that the critical digit. If this next number is 5 or above, we need to round up, which means that would become 1 bigger. But since it's below 5, it just means we cut it off, and it would stay as 3.4. So I should just have 1 decimal place for my tenth in my answer. So I wanted to do B as well because this is the other type. Again, I want to just keep my 12.6. I want the tenth. But this time, because my critical digit is a 7, I need to round it up so that this 6 here would become 1 bigger, which would happen to be a 7. So 12.7. Okay, very important learning how to round because it comes up in so many other topics as well, not just as questions like this. We did it in measurement where we're using pi all the time. We had to round our answers. Okay, question 9 is also on rounding. Each question you're changing where you're rounding it to. So in brackets, this time I want 2 decimal places for the first one. You want no decimal places and so on for these other ones down here. So 2 decimal places means here's my decimal point. I want to keep the 7 and I want to keep the 8. And the 2 is my critical digit that tells me how to round. Do I round up or down? Down. So I chop it off and it will be 3.78. Good. All right, next page. Now, this is gift. If you get these on your exam, you're a very, very happy person because you just type these into your calculator, okay? Just all calc. I'm not expecting you to multiply anything with long multiplication or anything like that. So this is just type them in, 5.34 times 3, and you get your answer 16.02. So all of question 10 there, just typing in those multiplications. These times 10 ones, I'm sure, and 100. You can do those by jumping if you want to, but you can just type them in. Also with question 11, these are still calculated questions, just dividing this time. So just type them in, 6.8 divided by 2, so 3.4. Just type those in your calculators. All right, and then to finish off the section, there is some wordy questions, which means you've got to interpret what operation you're going to have to do. Am I adding? Am I subtracting? Multiplying or dividing? What is going on in this question? So let's read. Is that Jillian? Is that how you say that? Jillian noted that the price of petrol was 87.1 cents per litre. I wish, but anyway. Jillian's mum paid $20 worth of petrol. How many litres of petrol did she pay to the nearest litre? Not enough. I wish petrol was that cheap. If only. But anyway, let's forget about the unreasonable price of petrol here. But anyway, what is the calculation that I need to do? Yes, Zoe. Yes, you're right, it's a divide, but the other thing to be careful of is that this one is in cents and this one is in dollars. Okay, so just make sure the units are the same first, but then yes, you will need to divide. Okay, so I'm going to change my 81 cents into dollars. So if you divide that by 100, it would be $0.871 per litre. And then we want to see how many of those we can get for $20. So we're saying 20 divided by the 0.871 is equal to, and you can type that in. You don't have to do it in your head or with long division or anything like that. Okay, so 22, it says to the nearest litre. How many litres of petrol did she pay for to the nearest litre? So we can go to 23. 23 litres of petrol. Okay, I think I highlighted another one down here, down the bottom, 16. Okay, Pedro earns $32.80 per week delivering papers, and he saves 3/4 of this. How many weeks would it take until Pedro's savings were enough to buy a compact disc player? Do those even exist anymore? Anyway, worth $295. There's probably two calculations you want to do here. The first thing you want to do involves this number and the 3/4. Okay? My first thing to do is I want to work out how much he saves every time he gets paid. Okay? So his savings. What am I going to do with that $32.80 and the 3/4? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Times. If you are saving 3/4, that's 3/4 of, and remember of means times. You're timesing 3/4 times by $32.80. So use your calculator, 3/4, over 4 times $32.80. So he's saving $24.60 every time. Okay, now comes the second part of the question, is how long is it going to take for him to earn $295? Yes, Kaden. Very good. Yes, this is a divide. So we'll call this the number of weeks, because this is his weekly pay. Number of weeks is going to be equal to, he needs $295. If we divide that by the $24.60 that he gets every week, that will tell me how long it takes. Okay, so I think we'd have to round that up to be 12 weeks, right? So 12 weeks. Okay, so I think that's enough of a brief go through for me. I don't think there was any more. Yes, after this, there is some more adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing practice, because I think that is a very important thing that you need to remember how to do with working. So at the end of the lesson, with a little bit of homework perhaps, I would like you to be up to, oh, well, there's even that one. Oh, that's all calculator. Well, a lot of that. So some of them say extension, so don't worry too much about the ones that say extension. So you don't need to do. You can try it, those of you who like the challenge. The reason this is extension is because it's got minus in front of the fraction, the first fraction.
Is that going to be
No, that would not be in the test. So these ones that say extension, don't have to worry about. But I want to go into algebra next lesson. So up to about page 20 is where we want to be. There is a lot of extra practice with your adding, subtracting there at the end of that section.